I want you to call me for all of wrestling's latest news and views. I've been around in wrestling for 35 years, and nobody knows wrestling like me. Remember the number 1-900 Wrestling.
Stupid idiots.
They call me Hara.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
And his name is John Cena.
Well, look at this prima donna.
Thank God Donald Trump's a Hulkamaniac.
Thank God indeed Donald Trump's a Hulkamaniac. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to 1-900 Wrestling. My name is Justin Robert Young. Joining me as always, Willie Dills Gregory. Willie, you are all decked out for the 12 Dills of Christmas. Welcome to our first official episode of 1-900 Wrestling.
That's right. We're dropping it. We're dropping it like it's hot. It's finally time. Well, we're dropping it like it's cold. It is the Christmas season. And I am ready. 12 Dills of Christmas coming up right after this. This is the first of the many Dills of Christmas. And it's the partridge. It's the original. It's the partridge in the pear tree. That's
the OG.
one.
We always come back.
Yes.
You always come back to the original Dills of Christmas. This is the first one you're going to have all the way out in Austin, right?
That's true. Yeah. So it started last year. And this was really just something that started because someone in my chat, and I'm pretty sure it was Mitsula because he's the guy. He's the idea man.
Indeed.
I'm pretty sure he just said that would be funny. And I was like, yes, it would. I'm going to do it now. And so last year we had like special drinks every night and played different games and played Christmas music and a whole thing. That was complicated because you had to go and buy like specialty liqueurs to make a turtle dove drink. You know, you had to figure out how to make that work.
I remember when you first moved out to Austin and you were like, oh man, I got all these ideas for my stream. Like, listen, because I'm going to go full-time streaming,
Sure.
At least in the first year, money's going to be tight, but don't worry. I got some great ideas. Every night at 5 o'clock, I'm going to have a brand new a custom cocktail that I'm going to make. And
it was a great idea.
And in my head, I'm like, I don't know if money's tight and custom cocktails every night are going to go along, but I believe in you. I believed in you then. I believe in you now.
It's still a great idea.
It is a great idea.
In practice, not as realistic as you might think. So, but this year what we've got is we got a big pot. We're putting some cider in it, and we're putting bourbon and rum and different things into that cider. So we'll basically have just the pot of cider constantly going throughout the 12 Dills. And then we'll just kind of mix and match as things go on. There's a couple of specialties. We're going to have peppermint white Russians at some point with candy canes in them and things like that. But we're not going over the top like we did last year because that did not work as well as I hoped. It was
the Royal Rumble.
It was rough.
You'd be eliminated in the Royal Rumble if you went over the top.
That's true.
All right. We have a lot of special things in store for this, the first official episode of 1-900 Wrestling. If you are listening to this right now, you will, as you always have been, always be able to get it on my SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Justin Robert Young. But you will also be able to get it on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and everywhere else that you find fine podcasts. And you will be able to get our Patreon page, which right now we don't have a name for because I haven't set it up yet. But you'll be able to follow it up, and we are going to give you a reason to go to that Patreon page at the end of this episode. But first, let's talk about the week that was in wrestling. The last time that we spoke, Willie, you were about to head on out to go to a Monday Night Raw by yourself, solo rider, down there in downtown Austin at the UT campus. You indeed saw the historic matchup of Mark Henry versus Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, Mark Henry, whenever it's Texas, you gotta, and Silsby is not close, but not terribly far from Austin, Texas.
But
so.
I believe he lives in Austin, and he went to UT. He is very much a
he gets a pop.
An Austin
Let me tell you, he gets a pop in Texas that'll probably forever and ever he will get that pop in Texas. He's definitely popular there. We also saw the historic Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn again. Which was, I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know that was coming. It was a welcome addition to my night. I didn't go in with any assumptions. I didn't research what the
the
ticket
main
was. I
gonna
didn't look
be.
at anything.
Yeah.
Right. I just said I'm going down there. I tweeted at maybe 5 o'clock that day, "Hey, anybody else from Austin going to Raw?"
Uh-huh.
This was all very put together at the last moment that I was even going to go. But I'll say this, like I don't even want to talk about the matches and what actually happened on Raw. I just kind of want to talk about the experience of going to a live wrestling show by yourself. And I know you go to like Hood Slam. I'm sure you've been to that a few times, maybe on your own, just kind of like no one else can make it tonight. I'll just go anyway.
I'm sure it's happened. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
normally I'm able to wrestle somebody
You're
up.
regular, so you probably know some people when you get there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. At this point, you roll in and you can find some of the regulars if you've been there a few times. Yeah.
Sure. So I was sitting kind of upper deckish. I'd never been to this place before. I gave myself a little time to get there. Not I mean, it's it's Raw. Like it's not like a football game, right? It's like 17,000 people or 15,000 people, whatever it was. It felt very much like like a basketball arena or something like that. It's not huge. It's not small by any means either. But the place was great. It felt like I was close to the action, even though I was in a bit of an upper deck type of seat. The people near me were all
how early did you go? How early did you make it? Did you make it for main event?
I made it. Well, yeah. So I saw. No, I didn't see main event stuff. No, I made it for. Like essentially the opening promos, right? Like I walked in with my beer, similar when we went to Raw, where like your beer is spilling on you and you're trying to get to your seat because you hear like Triple H's music or whatever. It was kind of like that, where I was kind of rushing out like at the last minute with some popcorn and some beer. But and I actually didn't stay for a dark match because. I was just tired as hell, wanted to get the hell out of there. So I didn't even know who did the dark match either, which I'm kind of sad about because
I think they
that's usually
I think
good
if I remember correctly, it was they actually did the Cass Rusev match that was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Usually what they do is it's some sort of like a 4-on-4 tag type of thing, or like some kind of crazy where they get a bunch of people out there and then
in general
the faces go over and
because
like
if Raw ends with a bad guy winning,
sure,
then the good guys will come out and give the fans something to cheer for. If
something
it's
to be happy about,
something to come in and ghost you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, when I saw, it wasn't. I think it was main event. I can't remember what it actually was. It might have been Superstars in San Francisco a long time ago.
Yeah.
But they had the dark match was Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, and it was like a no DQ whatever, and Daniel Bryan put Orton through a table to send everyone home. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, it was the best thing ever. But I just want to talk so going in by myself, I just kind of went to my seat, and I was just I'm just gonna cheer. I'm just gonna watch. I'll people watch a little bit. I'll look around. Maybe if there's some cool people near me who seem into it, I'll strike up a conversation. And I've gotten used to doing this, moving to a city where I don't know very many people, where I show up somewhere and I'm just ready to start a conversation.
Sure.
Whereas like growing up in San Francisco, I never did this because I knew tons of people in the city. And if someone talked to me, I'm like, what's wrong with you, weirdo? Like, but now it's like, no, I get it. That's why you do it, because you don't know a lot of people.
And this is how you lay down roots. This is you are fulfilling the social compact, Willie.
Sure.
You are building a community, doing your part.
That's correct. Absolutely. So I did end up talking to a couple of guys who were near me. One like younger guy, and I think it was like an uncle, younger nephew type situation. Like the kid was maybe like 13, and he was super into it. He had a Roman Reigns shirt on, and the uncle was like just drinking beer and had no visible paraphernalia, but probably like he was the smart. He knew all the stuff, and the kid was all into it. So I ended up talking to them for a while, and that was cool. And the matches were awesome. I really got into it. The crowd was popping. Raw has been really great lately. I mean, to be honest, I didn't feel weird or awkward, or like it didn't feel bizarre to be there by myself. It felt like I was part of the crowd. I was just joining in with chants and doing whatever everyone else was doing, and not a moment of it was unfun. I left, and I left a little early because I was a little tired, and my voice, my voice was a little shot.
Hey, listen, you got to protect the pipes now. That's how you make a living, right? Like, you can't just go out there shredded.
So, yeah, I mean, dude, I got to say, if you're ever worried about going out to something like a wrestling show by yourself and you don't have friends who are into it or something like that, throw all those fears aside, get out there and do it. It was fantastic. I would definitely A+ would do it again. 10 out of 10.
And this is something that I've talked a lot about in just whenever I over philosophize about wrestling. And by the way, later in this show, I will indeed over philosophize about wrestling.
Good.
But wrestling is so unique because it is about the crowd. Everything that's happening in the ring and in the vignettes is designed to interact with the crowd on a level that music isn't. Stand-up comedy maybe, but certainly when you start to play stadiums and arenas, you can't really dial in with the crowd on the kind of micro level that wrestling is sort of built to do.
Sure.
You can't just say, if you are doing an hour, a tight hour, and you're playing a stadium for stand-up comedy, you can't just go on a 30-minute riff, right? In wrestling, you can. Wrestling, you can make the match whatever you want as long as you're sticking within your designated time thing. So that is so great to hear that you had a good time. Let me ask you this. In the arena, was there – because I have found personally that the mics that go out for television sometimes don't accurately pick up everything that's happening in the arena, and that sometimes things in the arena are more popular than they come across on TV. Is there anything that stuck out to you that was like, wow, I didn't think that person was popular watching it on TV, but here in Austin, it was moving and grooving?
Well, I'll tell you this. In Texas, Roman Reigns gets a pop, and Chris Jericho doesn't get – it's not Canada anymore.
Really?
Roman Reigns is definitely still over with a lot of the WWE universe. You don't realize how over he is, like when you watch him get booed all to hell in the Canadian shows. He definitely got – people wanted him to beat Jericho.
Yeah.
And he did. The other thing too, I didn't rewatch Raw after, so I can't really say like what the difference was. But I'll say that the Charlotte and Ric Flair segment, the heat was real. Oh my God, people hated Charlotte at the end of that segment, and I don't know how much that came across on the TV, but that was like a face turn for Flair essentially.
Oh yeah.
I mean he's an always face in a way, but he was definitely playing the heel role of Charlotte's father, who was helping her win matches and stuff for a while. But her turning on him and like tricking him, getting him in there and like, oh, I'm so sorry and blah, blah. And then and the slap was real.
Was that all right? So my brain is maybe conflating this. Was that a slap or was that a closed fist?
I don't know. I was far away, but it was loud. Like you could hear the contact. So I think it was a slap, but I don't know.
I think it was a slap. Slap would make more sense. But watching it in my head, I'm like, did she just punch him? Which,
just
by the way,
deck her father.
By the way, I was kind of surprised that they went there.
Sure.
Because, there's a history with Charlotte and violence against her father.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this story?
I mean, not intimately, not on the ins and outs, but I know that there's been some weirdness in the Flair family.
So I was down in Florida, and I was talking to a bunch of friends of mine that have intermittently been into wrestling and stuff like that. And we were talking about, like, what's happening now, and I mentioned, like, oh, yeah, so if Charlotte slapped her dad or punched her dad. And I was kind of surprised because I thought that it was another Flair daughter that had gotten into a physical altercation with Ric Flair. It was not. It was indeed Ashley Flair.
Wow.
Who, along with her boyfriend, apparently like beat up Ric Flair, and the police had to. Come back to their apartment. Like, let me see if I can at least pull up the mugshot here.
Oh my goodness! It was like a whole domestic violence situation.
Yeah, that's the mugshot there.
Oh my gosh!
Back in the day, this is long before she got into NXT.
Yeah.
But I guess, listen, I mean, it's been long enough, right? That they can move away from it. But it was something interesting, especially when I read more into it.
I kind of like the fact that they're not kind of afraid to address things that have happened, turn real life situations into essentially kayfabe moments, right?
Yeah.
The emotion felt very real. I mean, look, watching wrestling for a long time, you could kind of tell the difference between wrestling acting and sometimes when people really pull it off and they really have you fooled and you go, is this a shoot or a work or what's going on here? I don't know. At really had that feeling that that maybe this is legitimately, maybe they're going off the script here a little bit, and everybody in the audience was just kind of like, it was like we all cringed at the same time, like, oh my god, like and then it was immediate, like, turn to hate, like, oh, Charlotte, oh, and yeah, so she some of the best heel work I've seen out of anybody. We talk about The Miz, we talk about KO, talk about all these people who are doing great work as heels. You can't leave her out of that conversation as one of the best heels in the company.
Oh, without
right
a doubt. I think she is. I mean, listen, they gave her the main event spot for
that
for
was
a
the
promo,
final thing that happened.
right?
Yeah,
that
was the end.
I had to laugh. I was listening to our friends at the Matt Men podcast, and they were saying that the only thing that was missing, if this were the Attitude Era, would be Charlotte and Rick revealing that they are indeed a romantic item, and
Oh God.
But here,
man.
let's actually pivot real quick.
Let's do it. Let's pivot away from that as fast as possible.
Let's pivot away for that. Although, if you ever need to prolong sexual intercourse, you can just think about Sasha making out with Ric Flair. Let's talk about another thing that happened in the week in wrestling, and that was a bit of a kerfuffle out in Lowell, Massachusetts, where apparently a favorite of mine and yours, Kevin Owens, got into maybe a little hot water, yelled at a kid during a house show, and the mom took to Facebook. Where do we want to start peeling this onion?
I would like to talk. Maybe first we should just take a look at that video if we could play it.
Well,
so you got the page up. Can you get any audio on that thing too?
I can get audio on it, but I kind of feel like if we want to take people, for those of you who are not familiar with it,
take on a full ride.
Let's take you guys on a ride. Here is I'm gonna do my best. We're gonna condense this a little bit.
You can definitely. There's like a couple spots you want to get to here, and I think the first paragraph you want to get to, and I think you want to move down to where she starts talking about her mother, and some of the stuff like towards the very end.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. So here we go. This is a mom, an upset mom who had bought what looks to be ramp seats for a house show in Lowell, Massachusetts. Writes, my heart is shattered. What started off an amazingly awesome night ended in my 7-year-old being completely heartbroken. My son is a huge WWE fan and a fan of just about every wrestler on the roster. He has a drawer full of everyone's shirts, but he chose to wear a Roman Reigns shirt since he has been a fan of him ever since he started watching. All night he was getting high fives from the other wrestlers and was all smiles, but for some reason when Kevin Owens came out, he singled out my son and commented on whose shirt he was wearing and then told him, you should get this shirt, actually, pointing to his own. Actually, don't get this shirt. I don't want you to ever wear my shirt. Don't ever try to touch me. All because my 7-year-old wanted a high five and wasn't wearing Kevin Owens' shirt. My heart sank. He became visibly upset, sat down, and I kept staring at the gate. I couldn't help it. I started crying. She goes on and on to talk about how big of a fan he is, how much he has supported everybody, how many.
Well, she talks about he has a drawer full of just about everyone's shirts.
Yeah.
Over 100 figures. So many accessories and just loves watching and going to events. She very, very specifically points out how much stuff they've got.
Loves it, right? And they've been to TLC, SmackDown, Hell in a Cell, NXT, and the draft. But he doesn't want to go anymore because, to top this off, Kevin Owens lost to Roman Reigns, and he was walking away from the ring. My son was just standing there on his seat watching Kevin Owens, and he jumped towards him and yelled at him, I am your father, which made no sense, but with the sudden movement and loudness made all of us jump, and my son almost fell off his seat, which he was standing on. My son is crushed, and whenever he talks about it, he tears up. I can't believe a wrestler would actually treat a 7-year-old fan this way. Shame on you, Kevin Owens. And the WWE.
I want to bring
That's
up one
bad.
more little sentence here.
That's bad.
She
Dills.
says, This was finally an event that my whole family was able to attend. Myself, my son, my mother, who has been suffering from leukemia,
Yeah.
and my father. We were all having a great time until this happened. She really pulls at the old heartstrings here.
Well, and look at this. Kevin Owens comes back and tweets. You want to know what, Dills? Maybe he'll make it right in a tweet. Oh, no.
Maybe he'll apologize. Yeah.
Posts a photo of himself lying face down on the ground and said, a wrestler told my son not to touch him. I'm completely heartbroken. Well, not really, but if I complain, maybe I'll get free stuff. So Kevin Owens, just no holds barred, taking shots at this woman and her Facebook post.
This man gives no fucks, guys. Like this weekend, I think we can legitimately say Kevin Owens went there. What would you say on the air? He has no chill.
Well, I mean, so let's break down. This is what I have, as being a fan of the WWE, know about their policy when it comes to heels being mean to kids.
Okay. I actually don't know if there's an official stance on this.
So
I'd love to hear
this is
it.
apparently what the reputation is that heels are encouraged to go out to young kids, grab their sign, rip it up, spill over their Coke, like stuff like that. Just be heels. And the WWE is usually very, very good about making sure that somebody then comes back out to give them stuff. So they'll get a free T-shirt, stuff like that, or they'll have somebody else come out and say, hey, look, this is just part of the show. They're usually sensitive to little kids, usually. I mean, not if you're a 15-year-old, then, Kevin Owens will come out and rip your sign up, and that'll be it, right? But if a kid starts crying and reacting in a bad way, they have a reputation at least. I don't know if it's standard operating procedure, right? But, that is, in general, what they like to do. We also know that Kevin Owens is very sensitive to the treatment of kids because he got in a little, fairly serious war of words with ESPN personality Amin Al-Hassan earlier this year, who made fun of Kevin Owens' son being very excited that Kevin Owens had won the championship.
Yeah. So
when I read his response, Kevin Owens' response, immediately something kind of went off in my head because I know he's a family guy. He has young children. It would seem odd that he would be that callous, publicly, knowing that it was bubbling up on the internet if he really thought that he had done something to make a 7-year-old cry.
I agree. I think that that he is very well aware of what he's doing and the reaction he's getting from people, right? As he's doing it. And he oftentimes directly reacts to the reaction he's getting, right? He's been known, as he's out in the crowd, he will yell things at certain people. If they yell something at him, he's got a quick wit. He knows he's self-aware. He's not just a heel out there being a heel and he's just going through the motions. He's just in the moment. He's well aware of what's going on around him. If he thought the kid was, really having a hard time with this and the kid started crying or something, I guarantee he would immediately stop.
Well, listen, we don't know.
I mean, that's just the feeling I get, right?
We don't personally know Kevin Owens, but we can judge by Kevin Owens' actions that he at least has a history. Now, I have no doubt that he told the kid that he's not allowed to wear his shirt because that is something that I think I've seen him tweet to people before. Yeah. So that, I think, is a line of his that he likes to say to parents when it comes to oh, my God, my kid loves you. And he'll say, tell your kid he's not allowed to wear my shirt, right?
Yeah, and actually, there's video evidence of this particular part.
So then let's go, Willie, to the videotape. We have now set it up. You be the judge, all you folks at home, on what Kevin Owens did and how he should feel.
Go buy this shirt. Actually, you know what? Don't go buy this shirt. I don't want you to wear Kevin Owens' shirt ever. Never try to touch it.
All right. Freeze frame on that last shot there. Does this look like a kid who is crushed right now?
Well, it's hard, right? Because it stops right there. It stops like right at the moment. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this 7-year-old's face.
I'm curious to know if you think that this kid looks crushed, or if he seems okay with what just happened.
You know what? He kind of looks like one of those like 420 memes, like the fedora and the lit blunt should fly into his mouth, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking at this kid. I've made that face as a kid before. I've made that exact face he's making right there. And never have I made that face when I'm about to cry or feeling really bad. That is whoa, that was cool. That's that kind of face.
I mean, he got FaceTime with one of the stars of a show he watches all the time. So I don't know.
He watches all the time. He's aware of Kevin Owens' character. Like this isn't something that the kid is not familiar with, right? Like it would be one thing if he came out and he started cursing at the kid and he started like saying some really vile things, but telling him to not wear my shirt.
I get the sense that Kevin Owens probably says this at least every other live show, right?
Yeah, like this is a line he knows works. He knows it's pretty tame.
He finds a kid in a shirt of the guy that he's wrestling, right?
Yes.
And says, "You need my shirt. No, you don't. Never wear my shirt again. Don't ever try to touch me."
Yeah, because there's the other thing too, where it's like the sign grabbing and ripping.
Yeah.
Seen all that kind of stuff too. But I mean I could see definitely where that could hurt a kid's feelings, because let's say you're a little kid.
You work really hard, right?
So like, let's make a sign for your favorite wrestler, and then you sit down. You know, you're on your stomach on the floor with your markers out. You got your heels in the air. You're excitedly clicking them together as you're making the little sign. You're putting glitter. You're gluing things on there. And then Chris Jericho rips it all to shreds and throws it back in your face. Okay, I could see a kid being upset by that. But after watching this video, I was like, this is a huge overreaction on the part of this. Well,
here's the thing, right? The one reason why I don't want to totally bury this mom is that all we see is literally the first half second afterward, right? So that kid could immediately start crying right after. Like,
I guess that's true.
If the kid had turned to his mom and was like, Mom, that's the greatest thing ever, then I have a hard time believing that he was so heartbroken that he never wants to go see another thing again, right?
Sure.
But what this smells like to me is that she was not a big fan of being interacted with Kevin Owens like that. Mm-hmm. She went to WWE officials and said, "Hey, that guy was mean to my boy," right? And then when they were like, "No, it doesn't seem like your kid's all that upset," she was like, "Oh, whoa, we'll find out how upset everybody gets when I go to the almighty outrage machine that is Facebook."
I think you're kind of spot on here. I think I've worked in customer service before.
Yeah.
My last actual real job before I quit, being a 9-to-5er to do the internet full time, was a community manager, and I would deal with people all the time where, the service they had gotten was actually quite satisfactory, but they didn't get a bunch of free stuff.
There we go.
They went, well, hold on, I have X number of Twitter followers, and I'm going to tell all of them not to use your service, and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And, and in the end, they would, if you didn't kind of just give them everything they wanted, they would ultimately go out and tweet the stuff. And then oftentimes then from the higher ups, they would say, okay, give them some free stuff. And I think what's happened now is American culture realizes that bad publicity is something companies will avoid at all costs, right?
Sure, yeah. And, who knows? I mean, this could result in WWE going back to her and saying, "Hey, listen, the next time we're in town, we'll get you free tickets, yada, yada, yada." Maybe.
I would not be surprised at all if that's what ends up happening, if she does end up getting a little bit of a hookup. However, I just want to give Kevin Owens a quick shout out here.
Okay.
I would like to say good job. Your reaction is fantastic and continues my personal entertainment. So I quite enjoyed it.
I
Thank
mean,
you
the
very much.
the
Continue to
meme
play
that
the heel.
Kevin Owens is mean to kids is kind of a laughable thing, right?
Sure.
Considering that, like, who else? I mean, number one, Kevin Owens named himself after his son,
Yeah.
right? His son is named Owen, so in kayfabe, it would be Owen Owens.
Yeah.
He is constantly posting pictures and videos of his kid on his own Twitter feed. He's constantly referring to his wife and daughter and son in interviews as part of the reason why he's doing what he's doing, right? So it's like,
he's even used it as his heel motivation, right?
sure, yeah,
I gotta
especially in
provide, I got to put
NXT.
food on my family. I mean, that's literally what he's doing. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. I'm with you. I am willing to exonerate Kevin Owens on the harshest of the charges. I don't want to bury this lady real quick, but
No, I mean, look, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt here because I obviously was not there, and unless I was actually there and saw the situation go down, I can't say one way or another exactly what happened. But I will say this: if I'm going to go ahead and sleuth this situation, right?
sleuth it.
Yeah, if I if I'm going to Benedict Cumberbatch this situation here, I'm going to look into what she wrote here, and towards the end of it, she writes, "Made no sense with a sudden movement and loudness made us all jump, and my son almost fell off his seat." So that to me sounds like he is after this initial confrontation, still standing on his seat to watch wrestling. Doesn't sound like a kid who's crushed and looking at the exit to me, right? So I don't know. I think.
Well,
I think
and also
there's
here's
fish here.
that's another
something-
fishy moment. You're right, because having just been to a live event, if there's one thing that house shows, Raws, pay-per-views, whatever, what have you, that is consistent with WWE, it is all loud. Very, 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 very loud. And so to the point where, sure, somebody coming up next to you and yelling would probably startle you, but I don't think that it's going to make anybody fall off their seat.
No, and I'm sure like they were all aware that he was walking back down the aisle, and
Well, yeah,
you know,
you're
I don't know.
watching. You're watching.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Watch Roman Reigns flex another time? You know, like, see what happens. I don't know. If he says ooh-ah again, maybe we'll
It
all
just
jump up and
seems
down.
fishy. No, it just seems fishy.
Little
Also,
fishy.
I noticed the pen in her right pocket, and noticed she had. Never mind. I'm going to stop Cumberbatching the situation. now,
We
so.
can. All right. For another day, send us your conspiracy theories to justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Put wrestling in the subject line. Here's something else I wanted to ask you about with the Raw thing. How did those the Enzo and Rusev vignettes go over?
Well, I've always kind of found those vignettes to be a little awkward when you're in the crowd. They work much better, I think, on TV because kind of nothing is happening
They're
for a while,
TV
and the
products.
lights go down,
yeah.
and
yeah.
yeah. That being said, they were funny, and the crowd was laughing. You know, I mean,
Let me ask you this: do you think that him not being able to get an Uber was intentional, or did they actually screw up?
Well, that got a really big laugh because you know Austinites know that there is no Uber in Austin.
No
anymore.
Uber, no Lyft in Austin.
So that did get a big laugh, and I'm not sure that was intentional. I don't know how much the writing staff knows local knowledge like Uber is gone from Austin. But if it was, it's genius. I mean, it was great. And of course, you know, Ric Flair coming out and offering up his limousine was, you know, I mean, the crowd, big pop when you first see him, even though he has recently been a heel. When he shows up, obviously, he gets a pop every time. So, I mean, you know, it plays. It's okay.
Well, I will say this, that I am very much loving the little forays into short films that the WWE has done on Raw for the past 2 weeks. And indeed,
You know, wrestling in general, man, Broken Matt Hardy, like all that kind of stuff has been incredible. I don't know if you recently saw the newest Bullet Club member and his vignette.
Indeed. Well, here, I'll tell you what. It is
The American Nightmare.
It is the WWE's foray into that. That Dills is the subject of my ledger on Critical Commentary.
Okay.
To truly understand Monday Night Raw's Prelude to Violence series, one must first understand the sinewy bonds for which we call life itself. A baby is born, a revolutionary goes to war, a bill becomes a law. These, dear listeners, are consequences. Consequences to actions. Take Cesaro and Sheamus, two competitors on the outs. Careers stalled, futures muddled. What will become of them now that their best last chance has been squandered? Will Sheamus return to his Celtic homeland to tend a field? Sire of family? Will Cesaro drive Uber? This is the tableau we find ourselves in. However, it is only when they make the action to cease verbal violence to each other and direct it outward that the consequence is a thorough thrashing to the redneck dunderheads that dared challenge them. Now, they're a team, a unit without rival. A bond has been formed far stronger than the suspiciously thin wall separating the back room from the rest of the tavern. Someone should check and see if that's up to code. And Enzo, he indeed should have checked himself before he indeed wrecked himself on the most recent installment of Prelude to Violence. His intentions? Pure. To stand up for a woman being berated by her brute of a mate? That kind of stuff might fly in the old world, Buster, but here in the US of A, we stand up for the ladies. Yet, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and the first step to damnation is oh so often a saucy pick in your messages app. Enzo takes action to offer Lana the carnal comfort to cover her conflict. And just as you can't con an honest John, you can't whack an unwilling Willie. Despite his hesitations, Enzo hears the siren song of St. Peter's Basilicas and strips down to his skivvies. His consequence? An epic walloping from a decidedly uncucked Rusev. Hiding just out of sight, he obliterates their suite as a ramshackle monument to celibacy. And as if to throw the yoke off moral relativism of the West, he will not allow his marriage to fall apart, let alone descend into a freaky, deaky realm of polyamorous stranger kissing and finger blasting. Each blow struck reaffirms his love, but doth the Bulgarian brute protest too much? We can only wait and see. Like a lung contracts and expands, this is the natural order of life. This is the seesaw of the universe. Action to consequence. Preludes to violence.
Wow. I got to give you the slow clap, man. That was incredible. Look, I think you took the recent goings on and you put them into words that I don't think even WWE writers knew applied. So well done.
Well, listen, man. And you're absolutely right. You're seeing so much. By the way, I turned all my friends on this week to the final deletion, just all the Matt Hardy stuff. Like it's amazing when you get out of our little bubble. Like
sure.
How much, you gotta feel like 2016 is just gonna be looked at as one of those really pivotal years in wrestling history. Like I feel like it might just be like 96 or 97 or something like that. Like where all the pieces were there, but Rock was still in the nation, and
sure.
Everybody. We had yet to really get the boom years, but everybody that was going to be there for the boom years were already doing great work.
The pieces were in place, and now it was just about to explode. I think you're definitely correct. 2016, and I hope we'll talk about this more on the show in coming weeks, but 2016 has been an incredible year for wrestling. And I think one of the cool things about it, too, is not just that we've had an incredible year if you're a fan of WWE, but now you can't help but be aware of the rest of the wrestling world, right? If you're a fan of WWE, you now know that AJ Styles was once not in the WWE, but yet he has all this history. You now know that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were indie darlings for a decade. You now know that these guys are, you see a Shinsuke Nakamura and you go, okay, who is this guy and where did he come from? And if you are at all into it, you are now aware of those other promotions, right? Whereas before, maybe you were not at all. Like you had no reason to ever go off looking because everyone was a kind of homegrown bred star with the age of like, the Phenom and stuff. Like these guys came up in WWE and stayed there, and you didn't really have a bunch of mixing and matching. Now you do. You're going to be interested in what, NJPW is. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be curious if you're a fan of these guys. And so it's kind of going to bring a lot of this stuff in. The Bullet Club is going to kind of exist and already does to a certain extent in American wrestling, right? And I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. Cody Rhodes going to New Japan is another super cool. That guy's had an incredible year, by the way.
I mean, just an absolutely insane year, and now it culminates. He put out his list, right, of who he wanted to wrestle this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's knocked off half of it already. He is now going out to New Japan Pro Wrestling. He has officially turns heel on the ROH promo, or the ROH pay-per-view, rather, in his match against Jay Lethal. And now the American Nightmare. I mean, this is, I kind of feel, having listened to a few interviews with him, and I'm actually, I'll be on the Aubrey Sitterson's Straight Shoot podcast, who did one of the first big interviews with him, and he's like a friend of Cody's.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of can't help but feel that he feels he's ready to step into his father's footsteps in a way where, like, I think he was very self-conscious about being, doing the bionic elbow finisher or like doing the same things that Dusty did. And he said as much in interviews, but for him to say, oh no, now I'm the American Nightmare. Like, that
directly referencing.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, what was what's Shattered Dreams is, Gold-Dust finisher and things like that. So that he was already kind of there where he was referencing the family legacy a little bit.
Oh, sure.
And Cody Rhodes was always essentially going like a different direction throughout his career, at least as far as WWE is concerned, for a long time. And there wasn't a lot of just here is, like, outside of the fact that Rhodes was his wrestling last name.
Yeah.
And references throughout, certain shows and stuff. But yeah, he wasn't really kind of like full on going, yeah, I am. But this version of him is, not only did he reference that, he referenced, him wearing the mask. He referenced Stardust. He referenced like every iteration of himself. He referenced, what was his character when he was handsome? Dashing
Cody Rhodes. Yeah.
He referenced all of it, right? So he has now taken his career as a whole and said, like, okay, this is what I was. This is what all I have done. And now I feel like I can become whatever the next step is of all of this, right? And so I cannot wait, dude. I think he is like a main event style talent who's just never been boxed that way.
Yeah.
And in another promotion, he definitely could, kind of come out of that shell. So.
All right, not this Royal Rumble, but next Royal Rumble. This is
next Royal Rumble. Who cares about that one? We're going to this one.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Okay,
2018 right. Royal Rumble. That's the over/under. Is Cody Rhodes back in WWE before or after that point?
Oh man, you know what? If he comes back for it, it's definitely before. I don't think he's the type of guy that you have him be like a surprise entrant. He's not one of those like with the noise or the music hits and you're like, what? He's not that guy. He comes back with an angle that he's trying to like make it to the main event of WrestleMania. So I would say before. I think before.
Because I think he's destined back for WWE.
I think so too. I think this was a right move for him at this time.
Oh, perfect. Perfect move. Perfect move for him because he's got the name, he's got the look, he's got the skills. He was not being listened to. They thought he was going to be there forever. So now he goes out, he does what he does, but you want to know, and I don't know that dude like at all, right? But just listening to him talk, he wants to be in front of 50,000 people.
He
wants to be in front of, like, he wants to main event in front of the biggest crowd because
I think you're right though. I think you're definitely right on the point, or right on the mark though, that he wasn't being listened to because they never thought he would go anywhere, right? he was a little bit taken for granted of that he was just a guy that, okay, we can put this guy on the shelf until we feel like it's time with him.
Yeah.
And he probably felt like, yo, the shelf isn't working out for me. I want to, because they really just let the Gold Dust Stardust thing fizzle out. They didn't have a big payoff to that.
No.
And that was, I think, it was disappointing to a lot of fans because a lot of fans were just so hungry for that payoff, And sometimes it surprises me when the Golden Truth comes out. I'm like, oh yeah, Gold Dust. Hey man, good to see you again.
By the way, he's still in insane shape. Like it still drives. It's mind-boggling to think that he's in better shape now than he was. When he was wrestling back in the night, especially in like his Booker T angle days where he was like, downright chubby.
There was a period where he was moving in towards the Dusty Rhodes body type.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, but he has definitely turned back that hand of time. And yeah, he's as agile as ever was. I actually like Golden Truth quite a bit. I don't think it's something that has legs really, but I find all of their segments enjoyable. So
no, I think
if he's fine with just sitting in this holding pattern for a while as a comedic foil in a tag team, then by all means, man, because when they come out,
I will say that if we are in the realm where now, at least on 2 consecutive Raws, people are seen drinking alcohol, if now on we've seen a cuckoldry angles with Lana and Rusev, I feel like in that world we can dial up Goldust just a little bit.
We can dial up R-Truth as well.
We can dial. No, but R-Truth was never like, Goldust got weird. I mean, Goldust in the 90s was like, all right, everything I'm seeing as an adolescent boy says that dude's gay, except for Marlena's boobs. Like that's it. He's
magically not gay, right?
No, it was just, but that was like the android thing for me as a youth. It's like, okay, well, all right. So he's dressing in tights and he's like fondling guys' balls and like, he's doing all this like, but Marlena's boobs. Oh no, back to the drawing board. I'm erasing the whiteboard.
He was of the same era as like Prince, though, right? And so like Prince, when I was growing up, I was it doesn't have to work this way. Okay, everything I was told by the other kids on the schoolyard, completely wrong. Apparently,
completely
you can
wrong.
Wear lace and get laid by ladies.
By ladies. That's true. All right, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not have a chance to go through my email to find emails. But JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Put wrestling in the subject line. This is going to be the first time that we will have the podcast up on iTunes. Please follow us at Justin R. Young and at Willie Dills SF, right? Or just Willie Dills?
No, on Twitter it's just at Willie Dills.
Just at Willie Dills. Mm-hmm. And we will be blasting all that information this week. I'm sorry we didn't have it done by now, but I promised Willie that I have a secret.
Uh-oh.
I've got a secret that's going to change this show forever.
Really? I mean, to be honest, this show kind of changes every week anyway, but I'm ready for a bombshell. All right.
This is going to be a bombshell, Willie.
Should I be nervous? Should I take my shoes off?
This is not set in stone. This is going to set us on a journey.
All right.
All right. So we're going to the Royal Rumble, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Got to.
The Royal Rumble and
NXT.
And potentially PAX South and potentially we're
hanging out. There might be a live night attack. It's going to be a busy weekend in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But what we don't have plans for is WrestleMania.
No, we do not actually at this point.
We don't have plans for WrestleMania. Well, you don't know about the plans we have for WrestleMania.
Okay.
Because last week, I purchased 2 seats to WrestleMania in Orlando.
What?
All right?
Okay.
These seats in the Citrus Bowl are not in the upper deck. They are not in the club level.
Wait, there's other decks than the upper deck?
There is more decks than the upper deck, Willie.
I've always been an upper deck guy.
They are on the railing
What?
of the ramp for WrestleMania.
Holy, what? All right.
Now, here's the rub, Willie.
So what do I got to do?
These seats do not come cheap, as I found out when I was purchasing them.
Sure.
And my seat will be covered between my own money and a gift from my wife. However, your seat hangs in the balance.
Uh-oh.
I am willing to forego all of my share of the Patreon money until we get to this figure.
Wow.
But the price on that ticket is $1,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If we on
We
the
gotta work it out
Patreon can in total money gathered, get to $1,000 by WrestleMania, then Willie Dills gets to go. He is on the road to WrestleMania.
I feel like James Ellsworth right now. I'm just like, I could do this. I feel like I could do this. I think I got his number. The number's $1,000.
It's a number, yes. The number is $1,000.
I got the number.
You got the number. The number is in your hand. So if our 1-900 Wrestling Patreon, which again will go up this week, if it can reach 1,000, again, I'm forgoing my share. This is all for Willie. If we can hit that, then we will be on the ramp at WrestleMania in Orlando this March.
So literally, this show is now the road to WrestleMania.
This show is the
okay.
road to WrestleMania. Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Are
All
you willing? Are you willing to accept the challenge?
You know what? Justin? I told myself I would never accept a challenge to sit on the railing at WrestleMania. But you know what? That was before I knew that was a thing that could actually come true. So today, I will accept this challenge. Let's do this, man. Let's get the word out. Let's get the people. Give them some benefits. A couple bennies.
Absolutely.
Engage with our community and see if we can get some sweet Patreon going.
The other thing about this Patreon is we already have it. You can get access to our Discord, so you can watch wrestling and talk with other fans of this show while wrestling events are going on. You will be able to hear us. Hopefully, if we get to $1,000, it'll be me and Willie. Otherwise, I'm going to put it on StubHub or something. Somebody else will be going. Anyway,
stand next to some other dude, and you're like, man, what could have been?
I know. It's $898. It's like, I don't know, man. Rules are rules, bro. So go ahead and check it out. We're going to post it all this week. Follow our Twitter handles to get all the info on that. What do you think, Willie? Was that a good enough surprise to kick off this show?
I think we just had our Oprah moment on this show. Now it's just a matter of if our fans can outdo Oprah.
No, here's the deal.
Dude.
What we are doing is throwing our hat over the wall in terms of our time, effort, and money to make the best wrestling community on the internet. It is why we started this show. It is what we are doing with this show. And we will see you guys next Monday on 1-900 Wrestling. The road to WrestleMania continues.
I want you to call me for all of wrestling's latest news and views. I've been around in wrestling for 35 years, and nobody knows wrestling like me. Remember the number 1-900
Wrestling!
Stupid idiots.
They call me Hara.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
And his name is John Cena.
Well, look at this, prima donna!
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.